the league versus Caitlin Clark. And that is just absolutely false. It is unfair to the women that have been there building this league to this moment so that Caitlin Clark's popularity could take it to the next level.
3 years ago, you were not talking about the W at this level. Don't do that.
Guys.
Nobody was, Monica.
Guys.
You making Stephen A. point, Monica. Monica, you making Stephen A. point.
Speaking about Caitlin Clark live on television, Monica McNutt just made herself appear foolish. She continued, "We need to acknowledge the other players in the league rather than giving Caitlin all the credit for breaking attendance records." According to Monica, Caitlin wasn't nearly as well known or watched as other athletes who were far superior.
Response of folks that don't think she is praised enough and she is above reproach in terms of criticism, or that praising another player is an affront to her, is like, whoa, bro. Also, you're in my mentions talking about women's basketball. I've never ever seen you before in my life.
The media's objective on Caitlin Clark is clear. However, she still doesn't reply to the critics. Rather, she plays basketball and sets records as if they were becoming obsolete. While US fans watch them repeatedly be proven incorrect, Caitlin keeps making these analysts appear foolish by discrediting them one by one.
Stephen A., respectfully, with your platform, you could have been doing this 3 years ago if you wanted to.
All right, we gotta go.
Stephen A., I'm talking to you.
Wow.
Don't do that. I'm talking to you about the power that you have.
Really appreciate
my girl, but you've missed a lot of episodes of First Take.
The WNBA's Caitlin Clark's quick ascent has been nothing short of amazing. However, not everyone has been keen to give her the throne, as is frequently the case with celebrity. Her path to becoming one of the league's biggest stars has been fraught with controversy and heated arguments, despite the fact that her skill and record-breaking performances have garnered media attention. With commentators like Monica McNutt and Molly Karam expressing conflicting views on Clark's influence, ESPN's panels have become into battlegrounds. At one point, Karam looked reluctant to fully accept Clark's triumph, which sparked more conversation, while McNutt leaned toward other rookies for top accolades.
Rookie of the year is going to go based on the standing.
Okay.
Because I think that is how you have the opportunity to measure impact.
And the sky's right above them.
And the Sky right now are in the playoffs, so you'd have to give the nod in my mind to Angel Reese.
The person who first backed Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year, Monica McNutt, was among the more audible voices in the season's early going. At the time, McNutt's justification was rather obvious. She believed that Angel Reese was the standout rookie due to her performance, particularly considering that the Chicago Sky were higher in the standings than the Indiana Fever. McNutt wasn't afraid to express her opinion that Caitlin Clark, despite her potential, wasn't yet on par with Reese, who had all the makings to win Rookie of the Year.
Literally cashed in, but her attention, her notoriety is based off Caitlin Clark. She wins the national title, first thing she does, she mocks Caitlin Clark. And then she doesn't even celebrate with her teammates. So she's made it personal with Caitlin Clark. Then she's played off of that. Even Caitlin Clark getting knocked down in that game on Saturday, who's standing up applauding but Angel Reese?
At the time, McNutt thought that was an acceptable approach. Angel Reese had been. She outperformed other rookies because she was able to influence both ends of the court for the Chicago Sky and played effectively in ways that rookies rarely do. The Indiana Fever, in contrast, were having trouble. Furthermore, despite Clark's impressive individual performances, pundits like McNutt didn't think well of her as a team player.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes.
McNutt had to reconsider her decision regarding Caitlin during an ESPN broadcast, but despite this, they continued to make fun of her and show her little regard. She admitted that Clark had established herself as one of the league's top players this season, not only among rookies. Even while the stats were outstanding, there was more to it than that. It was Clark's leadership of the Indiana Fever, a team that had been having trouble establishing itself, and her ability to draw in league fans. Although she had been fully committed to Angel Reese earlier in the year, McNutt acknowledged that Caitlin Clark had compelled her to reconsider.
It's physical. Caitlin is helping to grow the league. These women understand that, but she cannot be babied as a rookie. That's all I'm at.
Clark's genius may have won McNutt over, but not all ESPN employees agreed. Was just as eager to celebrate her accomplishment. One of the network's most well-known voices, Molly Karam, seemed to take advantage of every chance to minimize Clark's accomplishments. Whether on purpose or not, Karam frequently diverted the subject from Clark. Fans quickly noticed that Kareem was reluctant to give Clark the credit she deserved anytime her name was mentioned, even when the young star's record-breaking exploits were the talk of the town.
There were a
But I'm
lot
not
of
gonna
people
let
that
you do it.
laid the groundwork that deserve shine as well. Here's what
Are
we're
they
going to
playing
do.
now? Are they playing now?
Here's
Are
what we're going to do.
Are they playing now?
We don't have Andrea.
Remember, you gotta
we don't
slice
have
the
any
leg,
of the
Shannon.
women, Chanae.
Remember, you
They'll
gotta
come
slice the
back
leg.
on. We'll revisit this conversation gladly.
Among the
which had
more
invested
noteworthy
heavily in
incidents was
WNBA
when
coverage
Caitlin
during the
Clark
Clark
broke
era,
Alyssa
now faced
Thomas's assist total, a significant accomplishment that ought to have solidified her status as one of the league's top players. It almost seemed as though Kareem was purposefully avoiding giving Clark too much attention, as viewers and other analysts noticed when she abruptly changed the topic from Clark's amazing feat to other players and attempted to highlight their contributions to the league. Some even conjectured that Cum's hesitancy to accept Clark's fame in its entirety was a part of a greater attempt to maintain equal attention for all of the league's best players. However, many people believed that it was forced and dishonest.
To be dogged by better defenders one-on-one, and of course on the defensive end she's got to go play defense. So I'm not sure what the scheme will be to protect her, because nobody has talked about her as a defender, and there's reason why.
Cum's position became even more apparent when Clark broke the record for points in a season, which was another historic accomplishment that should have garnered media attention. However, instead of praising Clark's historic run, Cum claimed that her star power came more from her fanbase than from her skill on the court, claiming that Clark's appeal stemmed from her ability to draw viewers to the WNBA rather than her undeniable talent. Her suggestion that Clark was only seen as a star because she was a fan favorite felt like an unjust disregard for Clark's true skill as a basketball player. This perspective was troublesome for many since it disregarded the fact that, because those admirers were initially drawn to Clark because of his talent and diligence. For some who believed Clark's moment in the spotlight was well earned, Cum's unwillingness to fully celebrate her accomplishment left a bitter taste.
That's exactly what I'm saying, because I think it makes a mockery of the women's game. If the focus on, now we just have to have people because of marketing and their attention, and they're not as talented, and we're not putting the best team out there.
Stephen A. Smith was never afraid to voice a strong opinion. Contributed to the conversation on Caitlin Clark. However, Cum Smith used a different strategy in contrast to Molly. Smith, who is well known for his feisty opinions, had been following the developing rivalry between Clark and Angel Ree during the season and was not slow to note that Ree appeared to be stoking the fires more than Clark ever did. For him, this wasn't a natural rivalry, but one that was being constructed mostly by Ree and others in her camp. Smith observed that although fans and the media were keen to match up the two up-and-coming celebrities, Clark had kept her attention on her game and let her performance to speak for itself. Despite the media attention, Clark wasn't seeking to add to the drama or participate in the rivalry hyperbole.
But when you were waving your hand in Caitlin Clark's face when you were beating her for the national championship, everybody remembered then that you belonged in the WNBA and your future was going to be on the pro level. Quick, fast, and in a hurry. Who are these now?
However, Smith noted that Ree appeared to be bending into the narrative, particularly following her season-long injury. Smith surmised that Ree was exaggerating the alleged competition with Clark in an attempt to be relevant in the discussion despite being unable to contribute on the court. Ree seemed to be attempting to establish a competitive tension that wasn't as intense as it was depicted, rather than allowing Clark's particular accomplishments to take center stage. It was evident to Smith that Ree was employing the rivalry as a means of maintaining attention while Clark let her game speak for her. However, as the season progressed, fate stepped in. Reese's game starts to reveal cracks, but Caitlin seemed to be improving steadily with each new game. Additionally, Angel Ree missed the rest of the season due to a wrist injury that ended her season early. Fans believed she may be pretending, but
Did I take an injury? Let's be real. I literally played with my ankle like a golf ball, like a little golf ball when we played against Iowa. And pain, I'm hurt when I can't play. They don't have to tell me you shut down, you can't play. That's what they was telling me yesterday, you shut down, you can't.
Additionally, Smith responded to the persistent criticism that Caitlin Clark was merely popular due to her big fan base, a view that experts such as Molly Cum had promoted. He flatly denied this, contending that anyone attempting to minimize Clark's abilities was merely missing the mark and that her aptitude was indisputable. He saw Clark as more than just a player with a large following. She was authentic. She became a star because of her skill, her ability to shatter records, and her capacity to influence the league every night. Smith made it apparent that Clark should receive credit for both her off-court and on-court accomplishments.
NBA Player of the Week. Surprise, surprise. Indiana Fever rookie sensation, Caitlin Clark. There's nothing really to say other than that. She's winning Rookie of the Year. She's a top candidate for league MVP honors. She ain't beating Asia Wilson for the MVP, but she's beating Angel Reese for Rookie of the Year. That's a wrap. That's over. And props to Angel Reese, who's had a good year, by the way.
Another well-known person who questioned Caitlin Clark's potential to succeed in the WNBA was none other than, compared to Gino Arama. Arama questioned Clark's ability to handle the WNBA's physicality and speed before she had even set foot on a court. He believes Clark may not be able to handle the WNBA's faster-paced, more aggressive style. He implied that the Indiana Fever weren't the best fit for her capabilities and even mentioned that she might not be on the appropriate team to completely display her abilities.
Third or fourth in betting odds on being MVP at the WNBA. These people are so disrespectful and so unknowledgeable and so stupid that it gives women's basketball a bad name.
But as the season proceeded, Orama's assessment quickly began to look outdated. Caitlin Clark didn't simply endure the WNBA's physicality. From the beginning, she flourished in it. In a league with some of the top athletes in the world, she demonstrated that she could not only compete but also win. Game after game, Clark proved herself by breaking marks that had lasted for years. She surpassed records for assists and points in a season, leaving analysts, fans, and even her critics stunned. Clark's capacity to dominate matches, produce crucial plays, and uplift her teammates' performances, which turned into a defining feature of her debut campaign. Arima, who previously doubted Clark's capacity to handle the demands of the Women's National Basketball Association, was proven wrong. Although Clark's raw statistics were excellent, they weren't the only factor in his success. Her capacity to improve others around her was what made her unique. The Indiana Fever, a team that had struggled in prior seasons, started to improve as the season progressed, mostly due to her unquestionable leadership on the court. Even Orama had to acknowledge at the end of the season that Clark had significantly disproved him. She wasn't merely getting buy-in. WNBA. She was succeeding and doing it as she wanted.
Clark effect is definitely real. I mean, we can all see that. However, experiencing it in person is totally different. I was at the Fever and Indiana game last night, and the amount of 22s that I saw on the way to the arena and inside the Capital One Arena might as well have just been a home game for Caitlin Clark. Not Indiana, Caitlin Clark. The thing is, that didn't surprise me. But what did surprise me was how packed the game was.
There was no doubt as the WNBA season came to an end that Caitlin Clark had interrupted the MVP discussion. One of Clark's staunchest advocates during the season, Stephen A. Smith, was quick to acknowledge her as a worthy contender for the league's highest award. According to him, Clark was a strong contender to join well-known celebrities like Asia Wilson because of her unique blend of individual talent and team leadership. Smith, who is renowned for his sharp observations and unflinching faith in his judgment, didn't think twice about placing Clark's name among the league's best players.
Scored 110, that was a WNBA record. And on top of it all, she dropped 35, Caitlin Clark, and, obviously she lead the league in assists and all this other stuff. She's phenomenal. She just is, okay?
Unquestionably, a Wilson who had demonstrated dominance in her own right was worthy of being considered for MVP. Her reliability and she had established herself as one of the WNBA's biggest stars for years with her propensity to dominate games. Smith countered that it was impossible to ignore Clark's rookie impact on the league. For a first-year player, Clark's performance on the floor was more than impressive. It was remarkable by any measure. Few players, rookies, or veterans could match the excitement and energy she brought to the WNBA. She demonstrated that she belonged in the same conversation as seasoned celebrities like Wilson by assuming the spotlight, performing under extreme pressure, and delivering each night.